You think because I stopped calling, stopped checking in, stopped asking questions, I stopped caring.
That assumption is comforting for you, because it allows you to believe my silence was weakness, not discipline.
But silence doesn't mean I felt nothing. It means I finally chose to stop expressing everything I felt to someone who wasn't listening. When I went quiet, it wasn't because my emotions disappeared. It was because I noticed a pattern. I was always the one explaining, adjusting, softening, understanding. I was carrying the emotional responsibility for both of us. And that kind of imbalance doesn't exhaust you immediately. It drains you slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you're tired in a way sleep can't fix. My silence wasn't passive. It was intentional. It was me stepping back to see whether you'd step forward without being pushed. And when you didn't, I learned something important. Not about you loving me, but about you relying on my effort to keep the connection alive. Men often misunderstand this moment. They think she's calm now, so the storm is over. No, the storm didn't end. It moved inward. Silence is what happens when a woman stops fighting to be understood and starts protecting her emotional energy instead. By the time I stopped reacting, I had already grieved the version of you I hoped would show up. Silence wasn't detachment. It was acceptance. And once acceptance sets in, a woman doesn't argue anymore. She prepares to leave. You tell yourself I moved on fast, that I replaced you, that I found someone else and erased you from my memory. That story helps you sleep at night. It protects your pride, because the alternative, that I sat with the pain, processed it deeply, and chose to walk away with clarity, is much harder to accept. I didn't move on easily. I moved on privately. While you were distracted, numbing yourself, avoiding reflection, I was sitting with uncomfortable truths. I replayed conversations. I questioned myself. I wondered where I gave too much and asked for too little. Healing doesn't look dramatic from the outside. It looks quiet. It looks like distance. It looks like a woman no longer seeking reassurance. By the time you noticed my absence, my emotional attachment was already loosening. That's the part men rarely understand. Women don't leave suddenly. We leave in stages, mentally first, emotionally second, physically last. And by the time the physical exit happens, the decision has been made for a long time. So no, I didn't forget you overnight. I just stopped needing you. And that's a much bigger shift. Because when a woman no longer needs emotional validation from the man she once loved, she doesn't come back easily, if at all. I stayed longer than I should have. I tolerated more than I deserved. I gave you explanations instead of boundaries because I believed understanding would lead to change. And you mistook that patience for loyalty without limits. Men often think consistency in a woman means she'll always be there. But patience is not infinite. It's borrowed time. And every time I chose to stay quiet instead of speak up, or forgive instead of confront, that time was running out. The most dangerous moment isn't when a woman is emotional. It's when she becomes calm, when she stops arguing, stops explaining, stops asking for clarity. That's not peace. That's resignation. That's when she's already detached emotionally, even if she hasn't left yet physically. You thought my endurance meant safety. It didn't. It meant I was giving you space to grow. And when nothing changed, I didn't threaten. I didn't beg. I simply withdrew, because a woman doesn't leave when she's angry. She leaves when she's tired of hoping. Time doesn't erase emotional impact, it reveals it. Distance gave me perspective. Without constant contact, I could finally see the relationship clearly without emotion clouding reality. I stopped romanticizing potential and started observing behavior. And once that happens, illusions collapse. I don't miss who you said you would be. I remember who you consistently were. Time didn't make you irrelevant. It clarified whether you deserved access to me at all. And clarity is ruthless. It doesn't argue. It doesn't negotiate. It simply decides. Men think absence weakens attachment. Sometimes it does.
but sometimes it strengthens self-respect. And once a woman's self-respect grows stronger than her emotional attachment, the relationship is already over, even if she hasn't said the words yet. If I ever return, understand this clearly. I won't come back softer. I won't come back needing reassurance. I won't come back asking for clarity you should already know how to give. I'll come back observant, calm, emotionally self-contained. Men often assume a woman returning means access again, emotional availability, comfort, forgiveness. No, a woman who returns does so with boundaries sharpened by experience. You won't be dealing with the girl who overexplained herself. You'll be dealing with the woman who watches actions more than words, and that version of me doesn't tolerate inconsistency. She doesn't chase potential, she doesn't negotiate her worth. Final truth, the real question isn't whether I'll come back. The real question is, are you still the man I left? Because women don't return to familiarity. We return to growth, to accountability, to emotional maturity. If nothing about you changed, then no, I'm not coming back. And if everything changed, I might already be watching from a distance, silently,